الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to our viewers, Hadith disciples and YouTubers upon the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam. Recently there was a request with regards to some of the books that a student of knowledge should have and study with regards to the etiquettes of seeking knowledge. Alhamdulillah, we've spoken on this topic several times, several different lectures, many masjids, many different cities and states, and also outside of the United States, on the importance of seeking knowledge and the importance of adhering to the adab of seeking knowledge and the do's and the don'ts that were laid down by the scholars who came before us. And from the greatest wisdoms of reading these books and studying them is to realize that what they achieved, first and foremost, was by the permission of Allah, the success of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it can be achieved by you if you tread their path and if you're willing to sacrifice what they sacrificed and dedicate yourself to what they dedicated themselves to. It's possible. It's not some type of romantic, exotic dream that's far beyond your reach, that was only for a specific type of people during a specific type of place. La. You can achieve things, if Allah wills for you to achieve those things, by adhering to what they laid down. Therefore, we want to talk about or give you a few of the books that any self-respecting student of knowledge would have in his library. These aren't the only books. These are not necessarily the earliest books or the latest books, the biggest or the smallest books. But we say that these are 3 books that are considered to be staple, that any student of knowledge or hadith disciple that considers himself to tread their path would have in his library and would have read or at least looked into, have some type of benefit that he took from these books. The first of these books is called Jami' Bayan al-Ilmi wa Fadlihi, which you could render into English to mean a comprehensive collection of narrations that clarify and give the virtue of knowledge, the clarification and the excellent merits of ilm. This is a jami', a comprehensive collection of narrations. This book was authored by, it says on the cover, Abu Umar Yusuf ibn Abdul Barr, and he died in the year 463 of the Hijrah. It's called Jami' Bayan al-Ilmi wa Fadlihi, and this is one specific print of the book. Inshallah, it's one of the best, if not the best print of the book available. There are others that are smaller. This is in 2 volumes. Okay? The second article that we have is a book called Al-Jami' li Akhlaq al-Rawi wa Adab al-Sami'. And the author is Ta'lif al-Hafidh al-Khatib al-Baghdadi, who died in the year 463, also like Ibn Abdul Barr. Al-Jami' li Akhlaq al-Rawi wa Adab al-Sami', which can be rendered into English to mean a comprehensive collection of the etiquettes, adab al-Sami', of the listener, wa akhlaq al-Rawi wa Adab al-Sami', the characteristics, the moral manners that the Rawi, the narrator of hadith, should abide by and adhere to, and also those of the listener. In other words, the hadith disciple. Okay, this book is talking about etiquettes, do's and don'ts of the hadith disciple by Khatib al-Baghdadi. This also is in 2 volumes. Okay, the third book that we want to mention here today is called Al-Faqih wal-Mutafaqih, Kitab al-Faqih wal-Mutafaqih, and the author is similarly Al-Hafidh al-Khatib al-Baghdadi rahimahullah, who died in the year 463 of the Hijrah. And this book is also in 2 volumes with this specific edit. This edited version of the book is in 2 volumes. Okay? Now, the first book is printed by Dar ibn al-Jawzi. The second book is Maktabat al-Ma'arif. And the third book is also printed by Dar ibn al-Jawzi. If you have the ability to buy these books, please do get your hands on them. As we said before, these are not the only books. There are many. These are not the smallest or the biggest. There are ulama who wrote books on the etiquettes of the student of hadith, the hadith disciple, way before they came, a couple of hundreds of years before they came, all right, and after they came. But we said these are considered to be cornerstones, all right. So the first book deals with all different aspects of knowledge. Ibn Abdul Barr rahimahullah, he talks about what is knowledge. Okay, bayan al-ilm, and it's something that is crucial. What is knowledge? we live in a time in which there's so many speakers, so many talkers, so many books, so much information like never before. Has there been a time in which people have the availability to so much information and data or data? But what is knowledge? What is the true knowledge of the deen? All right? What are the etiquettes? What's the virtues of seeking ilm? All right? And he starts off, the first chapter, he actually talks about the obligation of conveying knowledge. That it's obligatory to convey knowledge and not to hide it and conceal it. And that's why he wrote the book, because someone asked him to write the book. We live in a time, unfortunately, in which there are people who attribute themselves to the sunnah, to the ulama, to the way of the pious predecessors, and they hinder knowledge. They hinder the people from knowledge. They hide knowledge. They don't spread the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. We don't go to them. We're not going there. I'm not going there. No, you can't go there. But they say, bring us ilm, give us information. They say, no. So we already see that they're astray. And they can't be upon the way of the Salaf al-Salih, because they've left the path of the Salaf al-Salih, which is to spread knowledge. And not only do you have to spread it and give it, but it has to be what? Ilm, nafi', beneficial knowledge. Not jargon, not just rhetoric, just quacking like ducks, but actual qala Allah, qala Rasul, qala Sahaba. Alright, so it's a very important book. He deals with several different aspects here. The many things that plague the students today, such as envy and jealousy, such as blind following. Okay, there's some people who worship Allah with blind following, which there lies no doubt is a bid'ah. That's an innovation. For the student of knowledge, someone who attributes himself to ilm, to take as deen, to take as religious practice, taqleed, and then to force others upon that blind following. Waliyadhu billah. If a general layman Muslim says, I don't understand, things are confusing, I want to ask the scholar that I trust, alhamdulillah, la bas. Allah says, ask the people of knowledge if you don't know, la bas. But now the problem comes in you forcing your blind following upon the next man. You must take this statement. Why? Because this sheikh is such and such and such and such. But I feel different. I have proof, I have evidence. That doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't agree with what I know, what have I understood, and so on and so on. La, you must take it. There's lies, no doubt. He hasn't read this book. And if he's read this book, he hasn't understood this book. And if he understood it, he is not implementing what is in this book. The next book deals with more specific topics of seeking hadith and the etiquettes of riwayah, of narrating hadith, recording hadith, passing on a hadith, giving ijazah, receiving ijazah, giving a license, or receiving a license to pass on a hadith. He talks about traveling, seeking knowledge, respecting your sheikh, your teacher, respecting your students, the etiquettes of dress, how to clean yourself, hygiene with regards to the circle of hadith. All of these different beautiful aspects he talks about here in this book. What foods to eat, what drinks to drink, and the list goes on. Specific to a what? Hadith disciple. And alhamdulillah, this book, as you see, is old, almost 1,000 years old. So what we're talking about and calling people to is nothing new. The third book, he deals with more of the fiqh aspect. And he talks heavily about usul al-fiqh, or legal theory, and the etiquettes and the virtues of learning fiqh and having understanding of the deen and the different principles for deducing and extracting rulings in the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a crucial book for the student of knowledge. To read this, inshallah, as much as he can, bi'idhnillah azza wa jal. Now, before we stop in this brief, humble presentation, let's not get besides ourselves. The best book with regards to the virtues of seeking knowledge, the do's and the don'ts, is the Quran al-Kareem. That's the best book. After the Quran al-Kareem is the authentic sunnah of the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam. And most of the scholars of hadith, in their books, they put a chapter on seeking knowledge. Al-Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawood, Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah and his Muqaddimah, and the list goes on, of the ulama of the past who put chapters about seeking knowledge, the virtue of seeking knowledge, and the basic etiquettes. And from the most important etiquettes of seeking knowledge, first and foremost, is to keep sincerity, to be sincere. Secondly, is to convey the knowledge that you receive, and most importantly, is that you act upon it yourself. So therefore, once again, these are 3 books. Hopefully we'll have time to give you some more books. These are not in English. There are different excerpts from these books in English, but these are books that you should have in your library if you respect yourself as a student of knowledge and as a hadith disciple. Once again, Jami' Bayan al-Ilm wa Fadlihi. After that, Al-Jami' li Akhlaq al-Rawi Adab al-Sami'. Thirdly, last but not least, Al-Faqih wal-Mutafaqih. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. We ask that Allah Azza wa Jal allow this to be of some benefit. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.